investment, and they wanted it absolutely pristine. Every day when there was nothing to do, Elmer would say, grab a rag and wipe the press down. They didn't want to see any finger marks. We used to have to, these deck plates were absolutely spotless. I mean, you had to clean them every day. And we used to have to sweep the cracks out before all these were filled in with a shop vac. And they used to have me, because I was a young man, once or twice every 6 months, I would have to get underneath the press with a hand broom and sweep the paper dust. And I'd go from one end of the press to the other end of the press, sweeping under the press. That's how fanatic they were about keeping this place clean. They always wanted you wiping things down, so fanatical about keeping it clean. That was Don Raleigh. And when Don Raleigh walked in that back door, because that's where he used to park, and he would be wearing a black trench coat, a black wool coat, he always come in a briefcase. If he came in that back door and he was wearing that black coat, you knew somebody was going to get their butt chewed out that day for some reason. It might not be in the press room, it might be in another part of the beacon, but that was your warning signs, because he would walk in and wouldn't say much, and he'd have that black coat on, and somebody was going to get chewed out for something that day. Elmer and Marv were probably two of my best friends. I went to both of their funerals, but they were, I thought the world of both of them, and God rest their souls, both of them. But I don't know whatever happened to Whitey. He quit and he went on his way. He got mad, I think, some money issue or something. But Marv and Elmer stayed on, and I remained friends with them forever. But Elmer was a pretty stern fellow. When you came in here and you went to work, it was work. And you get a 15-minute break, and sometimes you didn't get the break. And you had a 20-minute lunch, half an hour maximum, and you were back on the job. And if there was nothing to do, you were wiping the press down, because there's always something. Elmer made sure there was always something for you to do. And there always was, because the cleanliness of this press, you always had to be cleaning the blankets or changing the rollers and the socks on the, there's socks, there's water involved here, and you had to keep the water pans clean. And every Monday, for as long as I worked here, they needed a man to grease the press. In other words, a grease monkey. And you'll never guess who they elected to have that. So I would come in, instead of 8 o'clock in the morning, I would come in at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'd have to work 2 hours after everybody went home to grease the press. And there's probably 400 fittings on this press, and every Monday I'd have to grease the press. So that's what I got to look forward to. And then every Saturday, of course, I had to clean the press room floor. Even though I was a pressman, I'd have to help my dad, so I'd come in and clean the press room floor, whether it be Saturday or Sunday. But decided to have a mural done, which is still out there, and he had a fella come in. I don't know where he was from, but that's a chalk drawing, and he had the fella come in, and he set up an easel down at that end, and he was here for 3 days doing that chalk drawing, and that's me on the top roll stand there, believe it or not. I remember the day he came in here where I was up there, and he must have captured that moment. That's when a press is just starting up, when that picture out there. You're usually up there adjusting either the tension on the roll, so it doesn't, you have to have the right tension on the paper, or you're putting the infeed on or taking the infeed off, depending on what it is. And you had to be kind of quick. You had to be pretty agile, because everything happens at the beginning of this news run is when everything's happening. You're adjusting the ink fountains, you're adjusting the tension, you're adjusting the, people don't understand, but there's side adjusters here that you adjust the plate to get the paper, the plate actually centered in the center of the paper. So there's a lot to know, and where the handles are, or whatever function they may serve. But yeah, that chalk drawing, that's a chalk drawing. He had that done.